Well, hello again, and welcome to Professional Insights, hosted by the two guys with no hair. Who, we had hair once upon a time, but it just left the building. So, what are you going to do? But intelligent, we were visited by intelligence. That's what they say.
Oh, thanks, Mike.
They
Appreciate that.
tell us to make us feel better. Anyway, as many of you are aware, this is designed to provide insights and wisdom and professional expertise to those of you who feel inclined to ingest it and use it somehow. We don't have a guest this morning. We normally have a professional on who's talking about their particular specialty, but today it's just going to be the two of us because we're going to talk about something that happens to people from time to time, in that um, they are charged with or given the responsibility to settle the estate of a loved one, and they have no idea how to do it. And this happens not infrequently, where family members who are nominated as trustees and such are given these responsibilities and end up drowning in God knows what. Mike, you've seen this before.
I have. And I think this is the challenging part, Mike, is that as much as we know this is an inevitable part of our life, we still have questions on what this process is. And I learned a term the other day called agents. And it's interesting that I didn't even know, I mean, being in this industry for as long as I have, I didn't even know that you could assign different individuals to different aspects of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just kind of baffled that I learned that term.
Well, you can. And let's just do a quick overview of what an estate plan looks like, and optimally what it should look like. Okay. So if you own anything at all, and I'm not going to try to play attorney here, but in the basic sense, if you own anything at all, chances are you need to draft an estate plan, and it probably should include an instrument known as a revocable living trust. And it simply means that you're going to transfer ownership of property that would otherwise pass through a very expensive process called probate. You're going to transfer ownership of those assets to a trust. That way, when you pass away, the assets are owned by the trust, and the trust has inside of it instructions regarding how those assets are to be distributed to the beneficiary. So so what you're doing is you're avoiding what is a very expensive and often very elongated process, again known as probate. It typically costs about 6% or so of the estate's total value, okay, or at least what's known as the probate estate, those assets that are going to flow through the process. So Mike, I think I know it is in California, and I live in LA County. The probate process here now has exceeded 2 years. What is it out where you are?
Mike, honestly, I don't know. I think it's a great question. I just wrote another question down. But I'll ask the attorney here in Utah. But the other thing I learned recently is that going through probate, everything's public record.
Yeah.
So you could have your crazy Aunt Arthur or Aunt Janine or whatever, or Uncle Arthur come out of the woodwork and say, "Hey, I want a piece of that."
Where's my cut? The long lost relatives in the Winnebago can pull up in front of the house and say, our cousin Arthur died. Yeah, right.
Which I didn't realize that could happen, but having it public record, anybody can come. I mean, you owe some business partner, they can come after you.
And that's a great point. It turns a public process, a public process into a private one. Okay.
Yeah.
And you can be also very specific with your directives. So in short, the most important reason to estate plan is to protect your beneficiaries from all of this. You're protecting them from unnecessary expense, themselves and each other. Okay.
I think that's the key.
My advice has always been, and I think most attorneys I found have agreed with this, it doesn't matter if your beneficiaries hold hands and sing on the way to church every Sunday morning. Plan your estate as though they're going to go to war over every last nickel, and then you've got a solid estate plan. But one of the things that happens, and this is one of the things that attorneys don't do, is they don't really give instructions to trustees about how to be trustees. If you've created a living trust, then you have to when you pass away, you have to hand that responsibility off to someone. Typically it's a family member. Sometimes it's a friend. very often these people have no idea how to do it, and the responsibilities are vast. It could be anything from how to distribute the money, say in a retirement account, to how to distribute or divide up a piece of real estate, who gets the golf clubs, who gets the old car. It's everything. And even though someone passes away, it doesn't mean their obligations did either. It means bills still have to get paid, final arrangements have to get made. This can be an absolute mess for somebody who doesn't know how to do it. So, Mike, if you would share my screen with me for a second.
Absolutely.
We are going to debut something today that we have created. This is a mock-up, and this is really we can create this for attorneys. We can create this for clients. We call it an advanced financial directive. And really what it is, it's an overview, like it says, it's an overview of trustee responsibilities, what to do if you're a trustee. And we've laid this out sequentially. So it's almost like a set of directions for, I don't know, putting together a bookcase at IKEA, fold slot B into slot A or whatever it is. The first page says, this is a little cryptic, apologize for the language or the bluntness of the language here. It says, if I've passed on, click here, okay? If I'm incapacitated, click here. Now, if they've passed on, what happens is it jumps to a message from the loved one. We can embed video in this, and it can be a message from the deceased saying, to simplify this for you, this is what I've done, this is why I've done it. And then it goes on from there, settling the estate. Links to important documents are here. An outline of trustee responsibilities, a whole host of information here. And then sequentially how to access money quickly, because generally speaking, when someone dies, it becomes very, very necessary to set up final expenses, do things like that. So Mike, weigh in so far. I know I've shown this to you. Anything to add here?
So I think the biggest thing, Mike, is that I was just introduced to a client back east, and the client's mother just passed away, and she had an estate, and everything seemed pretty seamless thus far. But to your point, though, Mike, we understand that there's a cost to passing away, and those costs can be fairly high. So, and not understanding and not knowing how to access money to pay for some of these expenses can create that undue level of stress. When you're supposed to be grieving for a loved one, you're worried about who's paying for what and how that's going to get paid. When if you just had a simple plan and directions to guide you, it makes it a lot easier to go A, B, C, kind of following the bouncing ball, just A, B, C, and D.
Right. And so what we did here is we laid out a list of assets, but we also included links to the protocols regarding those specific institutions. For example, we've in this mock-up listed that this fictitious deceased person had an account at Chase. So this link, if you click on it, will jump directly to Chase's protocols. So right now, so here you are on Chase's settling your estate, and they've got a message, we're very sorry to hear about your loss and we're here to help. And all of this walks you through how to access that document. And
that's the upside. I didn't even know that was on Chase until you showed me that.
Yeah. Every institution is going to have their specific set of protocols when it comes to distributing an asset. Okay. Of course, there's important documents. There's trustee responsibilities. Again, I'm going through this kind of quick here. And then there's a list here of trusted advisors that you can call for whatever reason. So it's laid out in phases. Okay. We've laid this out. There's a list of assets here, but we've laid that. We've also listed liabilities because liabilities have to get met.
Some of those family members don't even know.
They
especially now in this time frame, Mike, when people have their crypto wallets. They might have Coinbase and MetaMask, and they've got 4 different wallets, and family members may never know that money's even there.
They may not. And there's also the Advanced Healthcare Directive is here because if somebody's incapacitated, this is the document that you want to give to whoever the attending physician is at the hospital. that specifies their wishes, and especially things like DNR, which is do not resuscitate if there is no brain activity, things like this. So it's pretty serious stuff, but it's all contained here. Okay.
So so this is the other thing that I learned the other day, Mike, is that because of HIPAA and the privacy, doctors technically don't have to tell your family members what's going on with your care because of HIPAA. They do simply because family and they understand the challenges. But if a doctor wanted to tell you, I can't talk to you about, your mother or father, your brother's condition because of HIPAA, well, then this kind of document is readily available to show the doctor that, hey, you are the individual that they can talk to because of this directive.
Right. No, that's exactly right. And again, this is such unfamiliar territory for those that are family members who've been appointed trustees. It's so very, very important that not only they understand what trustee responsibilities are and know how to carry them out, but probably that they understand before the fact that they actually have been appointed trustee. That a client of mine was appointed the successor trustee for a friend's estate and found out about it after her friend died, and had to settle her friend's estate. It took her about 3 years to do it, and at one point she had to come out of her own accounts to pay her deceased friend's bills because she couldn't access money that was in other accounts. So this can be a mess. I've been through this with clients before. It makes the case for having a solid estate plan. And we created this again as a piece of supporting documentation, really as a guide for successor trustees to be able to use, so they can get going on this. They can and see this all the way through with a minimum of upset. Again, this is laid out sequentially. We begin with the assets that are most easily accessed, the ones where you can more or less get money now. We follow that with things like insurance policies, the things, when I say sequentially, the assets that are easiest to settle, those are first. The assets that take longer, like real estate and especially business interests, are at the back, because sometimes those don't settle out for maybe 6 months, a year, maybe longer in some cases, depending upon how the nature of the asset and depending upon how long the estate's open. So this can be a very arduous process. And so any attorneys that would watch this, we can create this for you. We can private label it to your firm, so it looks like it comes from your firm, and we can use it as part of our National Referral Network, partnership that we have with you. We can create things like this. We've always talked about the fact that we are creating content for our partners. This is part of what we can create.
Now, Mike, if a client is watching, how would they get a tool like this, or what's the best way for them to get their hands on a tool like this?
Well, I think they can reach out to us. I mean, this is not an easy thing for us to create, by the way. This is a good deal of work to do, but they can reach out to us and talk to us about how we might create this for them. Okay. And Mike, I don't know if we want to put the crawl up there or not.
There's the National Referral Network.
National Referral. So you can reach out to us through the National Referral Network, okay? Or simply reach out to us on the. Can we put the Protection Point Advisors site up there?
It's in the description.
It's in the description. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And any of our National Referral Network members or anybody who's looking at NRN, we can talk to them about creating this here. But we really wanted to talk about here today the problems that trustees face. They simply don't know what the scope and depth and breadth of their responsibilities are until they're thrust upon them.
Yep. And the challenging part, Mike, is that they don't understand, like you said, they don't understand the responsibilities until they're in it. But we have all seen friends that have lost loved ones that have struggled through that process. And yet we don't do anything to plan accordingly for ourselves.
Right.
And this is one, I think it's important that we do these types of talks, Mike, because one, helps educate individuals, but two, gives them the tools to make better decisions as they move through their financial lives.
Right. No, that's completely true. So anyway, Mike, as we wrap up, any final thoughts here?
No, I appreciate it, Mike. I know that you and the team worked really hard to put this thing together, and I look forward to sharing this with some of our partners and how this can help others. It really is an important document.
Yeah, thank you very much. We will be here, of course, again next week. We'll have a guest, I think. We don't know who yet, but we're going to have somebody talking about something really, really important.
Really important. Like don't miss it.
I don't want to miss it. I mean, if it's, I don't care what the occasion is. Cancel it and be here next week.
Cancel it. And if you found this video helpful or you'd like more information, like Mike said, the links are in the description below. Please reach out to us. Let us know how we can help. Please share the video if you know a loved one that could be going through this or maybe going through this. And like Mike said, we're here every Tuesday morning with professional insights. Please be back, and we look forward to being here next Tuesday.
Got it. Thanks, everybody. See you next week.
Thanks.